Hello! Welcome to Vtuber Verdict, Am I the Asshole edition, the series where we dive headfirst into Reddit's most fiery Am I the Asshole posts. From scandalous confessions to the most outrageous dilemmas, I'll be sharing my unfiltered opinions and breaking down the most cutting comments from the community. Let's wade into the juicy drama and lay down the verdict, delivered with all the sass and judgment you'd expect from yours truly. Grab that tea, sit down, relax, and listen in as we dive into today's Am I the Asshole post, featuring relationship drama. The title for today is Am I the Asshole for exposing my best friend of 10 years as a cheater to her fiancé? This is a long one, so bear with me. My best friend Addison was recently engaged to her partner, Shane. Addison met Shane in early 2022 through her older brother, and the two hit it off pretty quickly. Not even 6 months later, Addison was pregnant. Following her pregnancy, Addison moved in with Shane. Shane is a solid guy. He's hardworking, goal-oriented, trustworthy, and faithful. He has always treated my best friend better than any man in her past. I had never witnessed any man other than Shane who made my best friend smile so much. The moment Shane found out Addison was pregnant, he didn't run off like a lot of men do. Instead, he offered her a place in his home and vowed to take care of her and their baby. Fast forward 2 years later, November 2024. Shane and Addison are now engaged. Their baby girl is now 1.5 years old. Shane is still working full-time, while Addison works part-time. Addison had been working at her same place of employment for a year before she got pregnant. Following her maternity leave, she would ultimately return back to the same job. Here is where she met her coworker, Jessie. Addison worked for Jessie both prior to and after her maternity leave, but she had only told me about him in recent times. Addison described Jessie as being very egotistical, arrogant, and just downright weird. She told me that Jessie would make advances on her at work, constantly call her, text her, and leave her voicemails. Jessie is fully aware of Addison's engagement to Shane, but doesn't care. I've seen it for myself, as he would often call her and text her while she's around me. But the weird thing is, Addison never blocked him. She would often text him back like nothing and even answer his calls. I would hear him make advances towards her, and instead of telling him to stop, she would just laugh and brush it off. You would think that an engaged woman with a baby would completely shut something like that down. Afterwards, Addison complained about his behavior towards her. But I confronted her and told her that she has only further encouraging his behavior by answering his calls and texting him back. I asked her why she hasn't blocked him and cut contact like a normal person would. Her excuse was that she needed to stay in contact with him for work. That didn't make any sense, and I called BS. None of our conversations I heard them having were about work in any way whatsoever. I found it odd, but I didn't feel like arguing with her, so I just dropped it. However, what happened that a few days later, I could not brush off. I was spending the night at Addison and Shane's place. Shane was working overnight, so Addison and I arranged a girls' night at the house. The night went on normally until Addison left to give her daughter a bath, and I stayed in the living room. I hadn't noticed Addison's phone was next to me until it rang. Of course, it was Jessie calling her. I declined the call and was going to brush it off until I noticed her phone was unlocked and the text conversation with Jessie was open. I didn't want to, but something in my gut told me to snoop, and so I did. And what I saw nearly made me vomit. Dozens of flirty text messages, nude photos, and videos exchanged between Addison and Jessie. I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that my best friend of 10 years would be so soulless to even do something like this. Shane has been nothing but a faithful partner and father. He is present and works hard to take care of their family. When Addison was pregnant and had nowhere to go, he took her in. After all the toxic men Addison dealt with in her life, she was finally blessed with a good man. And she decided to throw it all away. I felt a mixture of sadness, shock, and rage. My instincts kicked in, and I immediately took my phone and quickly recorded me scrolling through the messages. It wasn't all of them, of course, but enough for proof. I wasn't going to hide this or act like I didn't see anything. Instead of being around the bush and acting oblivious, I decided to confront her head on. As soon as Addison came back into the living room and sat on the couch, I told her everything. I told her that she had left her phone unlocked with her and Jesse's text conversation out and open for me to see. I told Addison that I had been suspicious of her and Jesse's dynamic and that I found it odd that she continued to stay in contact with him despite all the complaints of his behavior. As I'm grilling into her, Addison sat in silence and in shock. After I finished speaking, the first thing she muttered out was, "I'm sorry." Addison struggled to get her words out as I demanded her to explain herself. She confessed that she'd been having an on and off affair with Jesse for 6 months. Addison tried to victimize herself by saying Jesse had seduced her, and even when she tried to end things, he wouldn't leave her alone. I didn't buy her sob story, telling her that Jesse wasn't holding a gun to her head and forcing her to have an affair. She had the full ability to cut him off entirely, block him, and even file a restraining order if she had to. Addison knew exactly what she was doing and tried to play the victim when she was caught in the act. I told her that she wasn't the victim and that the real victim is her fiancé. It was at this moment when Addison's face grew white, and I kid you not, this woman got on her knees and begged for me not to tell Shane. She went on about how Shane treated her like a queen, taking care of her and their child. She didn't want to lose what she had wanted for so long over one mistake. I told her she should have thought about that before she decided to cheat with Jesse. Like I said, I was not going to hide this. It goes against my moral code to hide something like this from someone, especially Shane. I don't care who you are. If you're doing wrong, I'm going to make sure you face the consequences. So I gave Addison an ultimatum. She was to confess everything to Shane the next morning when he got home, or I would. She obliged and promised me she would tell him. Due to the severity of the situation, I decided to pack my things and go home for the night. The next morning, I woke up to 10 missed calls from Addison. She texted me saying she had told Shane everything and he left the house in a complete rage. I called her back and she basically repeated the same. She tried calling him several times and said she was scared of what he would do when he got back. I didn't say much other than it would be best for her not to contact him. At the end of the day, she made this bed and now she has to lay in it. After we hung up, I decided to call Shane because a part of me did not believe her. Shane answered immediately. I told him I was aware of what happened and that if he needed anything, I was here for him. Shane sounded confused and asked what I was talking about. I told him that I knew Addison confessed everything and that he had to leave the house to calm down. Shane responded, "What are you talking about? Addison confessed to what? I just left to go get his breakfast." I paused. Just as I suspected, Addison never told him anything. Better yet, she lied to me and said that she did. I'm a woman of my word, and I did just as I told her I would. I told him everything. I told him about the affair and her confession. I also told him about her lying to me about confessing to him. I sent him the scrolling video of the messages between her and Jesse. Shane didn't say a word while I was speaking. Once I was done, there was a long pause. Shane struggled to speak, but he eventually stuttered, "Okay, I gotta go," and hung up. I didn't hear from Addison or Shane for about a week. I decided to call Shane to check on him. He answered and graciously thanked me for revealing to him what I saw. He told me that he confronted Addison after he returned home that morning, and she confessed everything. However, it was revealed that Addison had been sleeping around with Jesse for their entire relationship, and not 6 months like she initially said. Shane said he had left Addison's house with their daughter and booked an extended stay at a nearby hotel. Because Addison was sleeping around longer than anticipated, Shane wanted a paternity test. 3 weeks passed, and I hear nothing of Addison, just occasional updates from Shane. He would drop in and out of their house to check on their daughter, but that was it. Fast forward to a few days before Christmas, Shane called me. He was crying hysterically, barely able to get a single word out. I tried to calm him down, and he eventually did. He told me that he did a paternity test, and turns out he was not the father to their child. My heart shattered. I didn't know what to say. I sat in silence as I listened to Shane cry his eyes out. I felt so much rage and disgust in my body, so much that I wanted to hang up on Shane, call Addison, and curse her out. But I didn't. Instead, I stayed on the phone with Shane and comforted him as he vented on about his heartbreak. Meanwhile, still not a word from Addison. Christmas and New Year's passed by. It's now January 2025. I haven't heard from Shane in a few weeks, but I've finally spoken to Addison. She updated me on everything. Shane kicked her out of his house, and she is now staying at a low-end motel with her daughter. Jesse was revealed to be the father of her child, but upon finding out this news, he cut her off entirely. She has no relationship with her parents and doesn't know any friends that would be willing to take her in. She vented about how much she missed Shane and the life he granted her. She said her life is miserable now and she would do anything to have Shane back. I told her that despite everything, I still love and care for her. But at the end of the day, this is nobody's fault but hers, and that she now had to live with her consequences. The last thing I remember Addison telling me was how she was going to handle issues regarding Jesse and child support. Without any further details, we said our goodbyes, and that was it. I haven't heard from her since. I've avoided contact with her since our last conversation. Although I do care for her, I can't bring myself to be friends with someone who would do something so low. Am I the a-hole for revealing everything? A part of me feels bad for her, but at the same time, I would have gone against everything I stand for to keep something like that from Shane. Some might say I was an evil person to reveal the affair, but it would have been more evil for me to allow her to continue cheating on her faithful partner. So far, there have been no updates, but if something does come up, I'll be quick to update you all. Wow. Wow. So that's a lot. That's a lot. You know what? I'm gonna give you my initial impressions here. Number one. I don't think she's an asshole for revealing the affair. I don't. I have the same moral compass. You know, even if you're my friend for 10 years, if you're cheating on your partner and I give you an opportunity to tell them, like to come clean, and you don't, I'm gonna tell them. Cheating is a no-go in my book for anyone, right? Friend or not. However, the way that she wrote this, okay, the way that she wrote this and described how close she was with Shane, how much comfort she gave him, how she was the one he cried to, he was the one contacting her after the whole thing with updates and all of this. That right there, that's a grade A asshole move, okay? I don't know if she has some other intentions with Shane. Honestly, my girl radar kind of goes off with the way she's describing things. But even if she doesn't have any intentions of, getting closer to Shane, it was an asshole move. It was an asshole move to pick sides against your best friend of 10 years and be, God, she's essentially supporting him like a best friend would, And she didn't, you know what? Let me scroll back up. Let me just scroll back up for clarification here, because I'm pretty sure she didn't know Shane prior to the Addison getting with him. Yeah, no. Addison met Shane through her brother. So OP here didn't know Shane until Addison brought him into her life, okay? That tells me that OP and Shane don't have like this long-ass history to where they would have this deep relationship and she would act as like a pseudo best friend for him, right? That right there is an asshole move, because it sounds alarm bells for me. The way she described everything about how she's, you know, there for him when no one else is there for him, right? That tells me she has other intentions with Shane. But even if she didn't, if she didn't, you know, that's going a little bit far for just a second-hand friend, right? Because she's not Shane's BFF. She's Addison's BFF. You know, obviously they're friendly with each other, but, you know, they're not at that level where, you know, she should be the shoulder he cries on. He definitely she shouldn't have been that. She should not have been that. That's, that right there screams a-hole to me. Let's go through the comments. I want to see what other people are picking up on here. Congratulations, you did everything right. Now your friend's ex-fiance will be able to find someone who respects and values him. As for your friend, she's reaping what she sowed. Don't worry, you were honest in me revealing the truth. I won't say she did everything right. I think it was crossing boundaries for her to be the shoulder he cried on. I will say that I completely align with her morals of revealing the affair to him. Let's see. OP is the people's champion for blowing the roof off this house of lies. You saved Shane, and now that little girl would at least know who her real dad is, despite him being a scumbag. Imagine if this had gone on for 10 years, or if Jesse knocked her up behind Shane's back. Yeah. Let's see. Basically saying the same thing. She's doing everything right. Good person. Not the asshole. Wholly not the asshole. Goddamn. Okay, so broad consensus here is not the asshole. I'm kind of surprised no one else is picking up on the tone of the post here, right? I don't, maybe it's just I don't know, maybe it's just my past experiences. Warning bells are going off for me, because it really sounds to me like OP wants to be closer to Shane, and probably has wanted to be closer to Shane for a while. I'll just say it like that, right? Tell me if I'm wrong, you guys. Tell me if I'm wrong. I could be fully off base. I could be like a little paranoid because, you know, trauma has, yeah. But I don't know. I don't know. The way she goes on and on about being his only support through all of this, that sounds like an asshole move. Not an asshole for revealing the cheating, right? Not an asshole at all for the way she handled that. The cheating parts. Asshole for the way she's crossing boundaries to support Shane after the fact. And I would say rounding everything off, right? Her last little tidbit about, like, kind of, I think it was like slowly fading away from contact with Addison. I'm gonna say not the asshole for that as well. Same circumstances, I probably would go no contact, just cut it off immediately, say, hey, I'm sorry, I can't be friends with someone who does this, and end it there. It sounds like she's kind of slow walking it. I don't know why, especially after she was pushing Addison to go no contact with what's his face, Jesse, the affair partner. Like, obviously, OP knows it's a healthy thing to go no contact in that scenario, right? So I don't know why. It's kind of suspicious to me that she's not going no contact immediately with Addison as well. I don't know. I could be completely wrong on this, you guys. I could be completely wrong. Please tell me if I am, if you're picking up something different. But yeah, those are my thoughts on this one. This one, again, I have similar moral alignments regarding cheating. But the way she handled the fallout, I don't agree with. So yeah, tell me what you guys think in the comments. And the verdict on this one? Not the asshole. At least my take on it. But what do you think? Was I spot on, or do you see it differently? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this little dive into Reddit drama, don't forget to like and subscribe so we can spill more tea together next time. Until then, take care, and I'll see you in the next one.